Well, I think because this whole generation, so many of them were orphaned during the war, and tens of thousands of women were raped and infected with HIV during the war. So you've got these two demographics of teenagers, both male and female, and then older women who literally carry the physical scars of this violence every day. And
Wow.
it's not just erasing a memory and going through some counseling and moving on. It's dealing with it on a day-to-day basis.
Man.
So we have a few of our students who they are survivors and they're currently supporting moms or aunts or other relatives who are trying to get medication for HIV or other illnesses. And so they're like I said, dealing with it on a day-to-day basis and still trying to recover from the aftermath of it.
And, being around that, again, it's just something that, like, for me, what you're talking about is just completely different than anything I've ever experienced. What do you feel like you've learned about human nature? I mean, just one, to like even wrap my mind around how people could commit such terrible atrocities, especially in their own community, and then to be released back in that community. Like, what is that? How does that change your opinion on human nature?
Right. Well, when I first moved to Rwanda, it was because I was so fascinated with the genocide, and I wanted to understand how something like that happens. And for me, I think my own personal theory of change, or my own logic that I've come up with for how something like that can happen, how 1 million people can be killed in 3 months, 100 days. For me, I attribute a lot of it to lack of education. And I'm an educator, so maybe I see everything through that paradigm. But when the genocide happened, it was a mostly illiterate population living in rural poverty with no access to education or health care or resources of any kind. So when a government gets on the radio and tells people that they should kill their neighbor, that if you kill your neighbor, you can take his cow and use it to feed your children, it's something that we'll never be able to understand. Never. We will never be able to understand what it's really like to grow up in extreme poverty and have to deal with those types of decisions. So it's so hard for us to pass judgment on what it was like to be in that situation. But I guess for me, I believe that having the education systems, having the quality of education, that's the most important step to
Right.
making sure that something like this doesn't happen again.
And was there already these natural tensions already built up, and then somebody going on the radio and saying these things where people may have not really understood it? What was kind of the other root causes?
Really, it had been going on for a long time. So Rwanda was colonized by the Belgians after World War I, and Hutu and Tutsi are the two different, you could call them ethnicities or tribes or social classes in Rwanda. And the Belgians actually implemented a system of identity cards. So during the genocide, they would pull people out of roadblocks, and if your identity card said Tutsi, you were killed right there on the spot. But this has been going on for a long time, so it didn't just happen overnight.